Thank you for joining For Our Special Kids, where we openly and honestly discuss the magic and the mess of raising a child with special needs. We are thrilled to have you here and hope this time provides you with some wonder and wisdom. I'm your host, Jennifer Lansing. Let's get started. Denise Correll is a psychic medium who has been highly sensitive since she was very young. She's able to connect with the energies present in a person's life as well as those in spirit. As an empath, Denise deeply feels emotions and often physical symptoms a person may be experiencing. After many years hiding these talents and natural abilities, Denise is so very grateful and thankful to be able to share these gifts and be of service in bringing through messages to help people find and connect with their own inner knowing and light. Denise also co-hosts the amazing podcast, Enlightened Empaths. Now, prior to fully stepping into this work, Denise was a special education teacher for many years. She lived all over the country and taught all grade levels from pre-K through community college. Her undergraduate degree is in emotional disturbance, and she has a master's degree in educational leadership with postgraduate work in education and counseling. It truly is an honor to have you here.
I'm so excited to do this with you, Jen. I mean, we've had wonderful conversations over the years about not only your daughter, but just the process in school and how do you use your intuition and how can we be the most supportive in our role as a parent or as an educator or a family member or a friend to these amazing rays of lights that are coming onto the planet or already here.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for your background because you just are like the perfect merging of like the intuitive spiritual world, but then you are such a great advocate for these children because of your experiences. So I think every parent listening or every caregiver listening is just really going to be profoundly impacted by this discussion.
Well, we'll do the best we can, right?
Okay. There's no pressure there. None. So let's back this up. By the way, I think it's so amazing that you were raised in a very intuitive family. And I think that's been a huge gift. But for those parents who maybe are sitting here saying, I don't even really know if I access my intuition. What would you say to that? What is intuition and how do people access it?
See, I get a little put off when people say they have a gift or they're doing something special, because I think we all do this. We all have an auric field. We all have an energy around us. And intuition is just tapping into someone else's auric field. So you're just tapping into someone else's energy. And it might come through, I mean, we can go into, do you just kind of know things? Do you just feel things? Do you sense things? And especially with people we care about, it can be a lot stronger. It can be a lot more of a, they'll often talk about, oh, I'm energetically corded to this person or I'm connected to this person. But when you use your intuition, all of us have a clear knowing. We just sometimes just know things. Shit pops into our head and we're like, I don't know where that came from, but I know it's true. And people will say, how did you know that? I don't know. I just knew it. There you use an intuition, or you get a sense, oh, I really need to go and check. The classic would be, the kids are being too quiet. I better go and check. Yeah. And then you go and look, but something nudged you into being aware of, something's off in the force field here of, I'm not hearing the usual sounds I hear around my children. You go and check and there is something. Or a lot of people will access their intuition through dreams or through meditation or through their connection with nature or their loved ones in spirit. So there's so many different ways you can do this, but it's learning to not overanalyze things, because I think a lot of us have that balance between I think we're all naturally intuitive and connected, but then either through training or programming or life in general, or the way we're wired, we'll let our analytical side, our thinking brain get in the way and double guess the shit out of ourselves and say, I must be making that up. That can't be real. But I think it's a muscle like anything else. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So I'm hearing the first step would be increasing your awareness.
Yes.
saying, okay, aha, I did just have that moment of holy crow, the kids are way too quiet in there. Right. Because I've even had that with just one child. I'm all, oh no, I bet the toilet paper is all over the bathroom. And sure enough, it's all over the bathroom. Yeah. Okay. We've all had that. So that first step is really increasing the awareness, just giving yourself some credit for those little hits.
Exactly.
Okay. And then I loved how you talked about that analytical brain. It's kind of, we've been trained to separate the heart from the brain. And
exactly.
And so then when we feel that heart message or the gut message in our third chakra, right? We feel those things, or we know those things, or we hear those things, we talk ourselves out of it. So in terms of the clairs, we haven't ever talked about any of this on here. So would you mind introducing the four, right? The four main clairs, and just, there's, okay, I'm going to stop. You talk.
Well, like I said, claircognizance is just clear knowing. Clairsentience is you sense things, you feel things. Clairvoyance is you see things. And when people say they're clairvoyant, very from my own experience and from a lot of people I've spoken to, it's very, you're not seeing it with your optic nerve eye. You're seeing it more in your third eye, which is in the middle of your forehead. So if you close your eyes and you look up at your forehead, and you can visualize, the floor plan of your house, or the bedroom you grew up in, or what your best friend looks like. You can see that clear as a bell in your mind's eye. That's how clairvoyance works. Clairaudience is clear hearing. And that might come through with, you hear song lyrics, or, people say, oh, I'm hearing voices, not in a, where's the med cart kind of way, but more in a, you just kind of hear it it can be in your own voice, but a lot of people are thinking it's an outside voice. That being said, some people with clairaudience do actually they'll hear someone calling their name. A lot of times clairaudience will show up with song lyrics, or with music, or with sounds, or so you have those four. Then there is, claircognizant, there's clairgustance, where you might taste something, like you'll just taste it. And it might be like in your mouth. And that's one that I don't get very often, but when I do, it's very odd. And the olfactory, I think it's maybe clairgustance is the one with the olfactory, but the one where you smell things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will say, oh, I smelled cigarette smoke and there was no one there. And what I've been working on that one, and it's cool as all out, because I was working with someone a week or so ago, and I got this whole thing, and the person was from Italy, and had and all of a sudden I got this flash of walking by this bakery where I grew up, this Italian bakery. And when you'd walk by when they were making the bread, and it would just waft out and like surround you with this beautiful, fresh Italian bread smell. And I smelled that while I was talking to the person during the reading. So I think the point is, these are all just our senses intensified. So when we're looking at our children who may have specific needs or extra needs or whatever, they're going to still have that base. We all have that base. And I think sometimes, again, going back to the analytical mind, we'll forget that. There's also some people have clear touch, like they'll feel it.
So that was your first introduction to Mediumship 101 by Denise Correll.
Sorry, was that too much?
No, that was fantastic. I hope people are writing notes. Now, just as a little plug here, Denise and Samantha, the hosts of Enlightened Empaths, they also offer a Mediumship 101 course. And that's really how I started opening up to this world. I had some things, some of those knowings and coincidingies, things that happen. And you're like, I kind of knew that was going to happen, or, all that stuff that you're talking about. But your course really opened it up for me. You opened up the fact that, just because I didn't think I was born this way, I can flex the muscle that you guys talk about. I can pay more attention. Like, I've just been starting to try to work on my clairaudience. And so now when I hear my ears ringing, I pause. I'm like, oh, there it is. So cool. Right. And sometimes you guys talk about how that that ringing in your ears is often prior to a download of some sort, or a message that just pops into your head, or you get this creative burst of amazingness, right? And so I've just been trying to play with that a little bit more.
Well, and see, I love that because you're making it your own. Like that ringing in the ears, you're starting to say, oh, this is a precursor to something else coming in for me, or it's a download. Or so one, it's always about getting more familiar with the way you navigate your everyday life. And that spirit or your intuition or all that is, whatever label you want to put on that, is going to use whatever your base of knowledge, your experiences, your strengths are, and they'll build on that. So it's really, I love that you're making it yours, because that's the key.
Well, I had good teachers. I'm shamelessly plugging you. It's good. Okay. So that's a really good basis. And I think every parent, actually every individual, you don't have to be a parent, can start paying more attention and start learning a little bit, but then when you take it to our children, and of course, they are born with all of those things as well, right? Just because my daughter can't talk to me yet doesn't mean that she's not getting all those messages. And I kind of equate it to, how when someone who's blind has incredible hearing,
mm-hmm.
I would imagine that Teal's clairs are enhanced because of the limitedness that she has within other abilities. And I mean, I have a lot of personal experiences that I haven't shared at all on here, and we can dive into that. But I'd be curious how you have seen, with all of your work with children with special needs, how you have seen some of these, their own intuitions popping through. Do you have any examples? That's a total off the cuff question for you.
No, it's very true, because I think that one of the reasons that I enjoyed special ed so much, and why it was a natural fit for me, was my younger brother was diagnosed with a lot of different things. He had a lot of cognitive stuff going on before anyone knew what even, it was back a long time ago. And I think people often forget the familial impact on everyone involved. It's not just about the child, it's about the entire family unit, and trying to find that support. I mean, your daughter is so blessed that she has this loving pod of support and love, and that, anything she needs is going to be addressed. And I think that's a key, is finding that. But what's really cool is when you use your intuition, you are able to connect with those ways that people might communicate. A good example, and I'll get back to more specific with kids, but is when you meet people and you get a gut feeling, and you're kind of watching their body language, or you're watching those nuances, or you're watching those little things. So on a subconscious level, something's triggering in your mind that is resonating with the energy of that person. And you might say, oh, I need to take a step back, or I can tell that they're really stressed out because they don't look as happy as they usually do. You can apply those same exact things to someone that's nonverbal, because this doesn't matter if it's a child who has specific educational or cognitive needs or physical needs and is unable to communicate in a way that we see as acceptable in everyday society, or if it's someone who has Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive, it's something where there's a lack of communication. It's all the same skill set. So when you can do this, you can send, and this is going to sound a little airy fairy woo woo, but it does work, is if you project love or a feeling of light out from your heart, send that to the person and connect with so I'm going to say, if I was connecting with your Teal, I can step into her energetic field and I can feel her energy. But you can also connect on a heart level. You can connect with your heart energy, connecting with your child's heart energy. And it's almost like you'll start to get all of this feeling that is so much more. It's about really connecting with the full, the holistic, the whole human that's there, not just, she can't talk back to me. How am I going to know what she really wants? Because as a parent, a caregiver, a provider, just a human being that's sensitive, we can all find a way to find that. And it's interesting because you'll you'll start to pick up on, again, the nuances and the connections, or you might hear something in your head, or you might suddenly, and you're thinking, oh, I am losing it because I know that, am I making this up in my head? Is this what I want to hear? But especially if it's a quiet moment where you're not, if you're just together, you're sitting and reading a book with your little person, you're not asking for any input back from them. And then all of a sudden, I just got willies from head to toe. You feel like you hear in your head, or you feel this amazing sense of love. And that's just focus on that, because that's the key to be able to make that connection. And you will, the more you do this, it is just so damn cool, because you are getting in touch with that higher self, or that inside. They're in there. They're definitely in there. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, me either. They're magic. We just have to figure out how to tap into their magic.
And empower them to be all that they came here to be. Because I think sometimes, and I mean this with absolute love and compassion, people may read a diagnosis, or read some test scores, or hear a so-called professional giving advice. No one on this planet knows your child as well as you do. And if it doesn't feel right to you, it's not right.
Yeah. Such a good message.
That's important.
As you were talking about connecting with that heart space of your child, I actually did it to Teal while you were talking. I was like, oh, let's just do this. She's at school, right? But you don't have to be in the same space to do this. And my heart, I don't know if I felt my face even change while you were chatting. My face just completely changed. I got really relaxed, which is very odd for me. And my heart, I could feel layers of my heart that I hadn't felt before.
Ooh.
Like it felt like this big, round, beautiful space, but then I felt layers. And that was her coming through and saying, I'm adding layers, mama, we're going to have a richer life because of this, because of who I am and because of who you are. And man, I do encourage anybody who's listening here to just do that. And it doesn't have to be a child with special needs. It can be any person, any loved one that's passed away. Truthfully, invite them into your heart. I mean, what a gift you just gave me. Oh, I love it.
Well, another little technique that might help.
Okay, good. I love this. Yes.
So when I first started doing mediumship, like for other people, I would physically have to hold their hands. So I would do my psychic mumbo jumbo, and then I would hold their hands, and it was almost like I would get a charge that ran up my arms, and I would start to feel I could just feel it. I could bring in their people. It was probably a form of channeling, but it was connecting even more fully with that energy. So doing that with someone who may not be able to communicate in a way that you understand, you're still going to be pulling in their energy into your own. And it can be as gentle as if you're rubbing lotion on someone, or you're holding their hands, or that physical contact. And just, again, if you combine that with that opening heart, you're going to be amazed.
Well, I'm just thinking of changing a diaper.
Yes.
I mean, something that we do every day that seems extremely mundane. Get it done. Da, 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 da. We've got to get the clothes on. Let's go. Da, da. And it's like, no, I can be present while I'm touching your hips and your pelvis. And I can, while I'm moving your legs, I can talk with you intuitively. Go ahead.
And I just think for you, Jen, because you really are the epitome of balance with the hemispheres, with truly. And I mean that with absolute respect, but is start paying attention. Do you have a physical reaction when you're close to your daughter? And do you feel something in your shoulder or your arm? And then see if there's something that's another whole form of this, is your own body is going to work as a barometer with the people that you're connecting with. And it may help you if all of a sudden you get a twinge in your stomach, or your feet hurt, or your eyes get watery. Is that something that your person is sending you to say, please, this isn't right with me right now? So it can be helpful for some folks.
Very helpful. Just, again, awakening your awareness.
Perfect.
So I have this crazy story, but it's super fun. So before I was pregnant with Teal, I now looking back, I think I felt her energy. Way before I was pregnant, like still contemplating, do you really want to have a child? That type of a thing. I think she came to me, and it was this extreme energy vibrating through my body. Every now and then now when I'm holding her or rocking her or giving, yes, she's 5 and she still drinks a bottle. Don't judge. I, give her a bottle and I can get those intense feelings. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just being aware of that. Like, oh, hold on, this isn't coming from me. This is coming from somewhere else. And if that scares you, because that could scare some people, right? I'm all woo woo. I love it. It makes me giddy and joyful, even though my, logical brain sometimes calls me crazy. It could scare you. And so what would you say for someone that, okay, they get a little scared, they start feeling this, they're like, oh, is that my kid? Or is that some crazy whack job talking to,
Right.
What advice would you give them?
How do you differentiate?
Yes.
And this goes back to, you know your child more than anybody. And I love, love, love that you felt that energy and that frequency before she even got here, because that goes into, that they say, well, there's two things with this. Parents, we choose our parents, our children choose us,
yes,
for our life lessons and all the things we came to do. But also the fact that what I found over the years, over many, many years, was that some of the most bright lights I have ever experienced in my life were people who have never uttered a word in their entire time on the planet. They're a different frequency, and that might feel kind of uncomfortable, or it might feel odd, but when you were talking, I got a flash of, I have a dear friend. I love her to bits. She has no woo. She is just zippity. She has none. And I just love her though. And she texted me the other day and she said, this is really creeping me out. I was thinking about someone, and then I went in the store and he was standing there. And I said, okay, so that was just your premonition. And she said, no, this is really freaking me out. Why did that happen? What? And I said, welcome to my world. That's every day. And she laughed, but then, so I let it go. And I said, really, it's just you're being aware of that person. It's a premonition. You're fine. Later that evening, here comes another emergency text. I'm still really freaked out by this. I don't understand how that could have happened. And I said, well, not to really freak you out, but it's probably going to start happening more, which was not the right answer. But I think if it's love, if it's people, spirit that's coming from a good place from your children, it's going to be coming in love. It's going to be coming with comfort. It might be uncomfortable because you haven't experienced it yet, but go over to your person, or like you just did with connecting with Teal at school, check in with them. Is that you? And you're going to get a response.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's such a good reminder. Just ask.
Yeah.
Is this you? And, and what you feel coming back is truth.
Right.
I mean, all of these children, I believe, they only know purity.
Right.
They only know truth. They only know pure joy, pure love. And that's our job, like you said in the beginning, to help them find an outlet for them to just be their truest, most beautiful, powerful self. And that might just be something as simple as walking into a room and lighting it up.
Exactly.
They might not say a word. They might just light it up. When someone walks into a room, if you feel that light, honor the light, right?
Right.
I mean, take time, go over to that child, honor their light, or honor an adult who gives light.
I was just going to say that I am not a big fan of sugarcoating and everything's going to be great. It's rainbows and butterflies, and kick your heels together 3 times. So the reality is, by getting in the habit of connecting on this level, it makes the things that are so difficult to navigate a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And And what I've noticed over the years when I've worked with nonverbal, or they have different terminology now, but back, with certain populations I worked with that were non-ambulatory, nonverbal, they're in there. They're just a little stuck on how to let you know that they're in there.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you do this work, you can connect with that individual soul light, that individual heart. And that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also, and I believe this in my absolute soul, we're caretaking them, but they're teaching us things we could never, ever experience or learn any other way. And there is a depth and a clarity and a truth to that light that it's phenomenal. And I'm in no way negating what it's like on a day-to-day basis, because that's tough.
Yeah.
That is really tough.
Yeah.
But I bet if I asked you that, you're not the same person that you were before Teal got here.
I would not be sitting here talking to you doing this.
No,
nope.
You'd think I was a nitwit or a wingnut.
No, yes. No. I still think you're a nitwit, wingnut.
Well, I am. See, she is so intuitive. She knows.
It takes one to know one, sister. No, but you're so spot on. I was journaling the other day, and I wrote on the top the 5 lessons my 5-year-old has taught me.
Oh,
because if I were going to write a book, it wouldn't be about what I know. It would be about what Teal taught me, or is teaching me, how she has profoundly changed my life. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, when it takes her an hour to eat her lunch and half of the food goes onto the floor and onto the bib and onto the table and into her hair, and then I spend 20 minutes packing up and trying to clean up and getting her to, it's not pretty. It's not all magic and unicorns, like you said, and it wears on you, and that's the simplest thing. I mean, Teal's not even on medications, like managing medications and managing all that stuff. It isn't pretty. And yet I think what my takeaway from what you're saying is, we have to slow down enough in those little baby moments. It doesn't have to be magic every single moment, but if you can find a 3-minute time period of where you just sit and you send your love to your child and you wait for it to come back, you will not be disappointed. And that might be the filling up your bank account that you need to keep going.
The perfect way to put it. It's a beautiful, beautiful way to put it, is keep refilling your own bank account, your own bucket.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself as well.
And I guess as I was saying that, I'm like, well, does that sound like I'm asking you to rely on your child to fill your bank account? No. But what a profound ability. If we do believe they have magic, and I do, then why wouldn't you tap into it and say, hey, let's share some magic back and forth?
Right.
Or some messages.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you made a really good point with the journaling. Is I think this could, if you're an avid journaler, a writer, you connect through words. One thing you can try is set a time to connect with your person that whether it's someone who can't communicate, whatever that might be, and sit down and say, okay, light a little candle, get a glass of water, whatever's comfortable for you. Open up this intention and just write set a timer, 20 minutes, just free fall write. And it might be, this is foolish. That old lady is crazy. I have laundry to do. What's the dog barking at? Just purge that out. Show up at the same time, same place, same routine for 1 week. By the end of the week, often you're able to have a discord going back and forth with your person. You're able to say, do you love the new macaroni shape that I bought you? Or it might be, so just, it's worth a try, because it really, for some people, is highly successful in tapping into that higher, because everyone has a higher self. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is to make sure that what we're doing for our children or our loved ones or the people in our care is aligning what they really want and need, but also is highest and best for them as well.
What a great exercise. I mean, just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of us don't need to sit down for 20 minutes? Let's just sit down for 20 minutes. Just try it.
Yes.
Just do it.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't, it might be at like
Oh,
3 to 3:20 in the morning, but
oh, Lord help us. No, thank you. Oh God, no. I was up at 3 o'clock this morning. It was not pretty. No, okay. So I think that's amazing. And again, okay, so I'm gonna make it more real for this parent. In my head, I'm thinking 20 minutes. Really, Jen? Do you think so? Do 10.
thank you.
Do 5. Whatever. When you're sitting in the carpool line waiting for pickup, grab your journal, flip it open, and write for those few moments. Just start connecting. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if you're not a writer, if you're not connected with words that way, do it through this is a typical mediumship where you raise your vibration to meet the vibration of someone else, is do some deep breathing, deep breath in, relaxing breath out, which is just going to calm you down anyway, because it doesn't matter who you're parenting. There's a good chance you've got some little bits of stress that need to be released. Do some deep breathing and think about your energy being raised higher and higher, and ask their energy to come closer and blend with yours. So just to feel the difference between your energy and your child's, that could also be a precursor to getting to get more information from them.
I just took a few breaths chatting with you. Felt better. Oh, yeah. Can we talk every day? This is fantastic. Oh, I love it. So I'm looking at some of the questions that we were supposed to talk about. Oops. This has been so phenomenal. I love you. I mean, you've given us so many very quick, easy, tangible things that we can do. What do you think, from your perspective, would be the number one most important thing for a parent or caregiver or family member, like you mentioned, of someone with an extraordinary, special, amazing need?
Okay. I have two answers to that. My personal,
no, just one.
No, I get two, damn it. So my first one is coming from Denise, the parent, the human being, the empath, the sensitive, and it's love and keep your sense of humor. Because kids are kids. Some have strengths, some have weaknesses, and all the years that I taught, that was my whole tagline for myself every day. I say, empower, don't enable. And it doesn't matter. You can always empower someone to become more, to do more, and it might be, I spent I worked in a state institution one summer on a very, on a unit that was people were quite profoundly impaired. I spent all summer trying to teach someone to eat with a spoon, grown man, trying to teach him to eat with a spoon. And it was repetitive and over and over and over and over. But that joy at the end of 3 months of seeing someone pick up a spoon and be able to feed themselves. And I remember, because people saying, well, what do you mean you're doing the same thing over and over, day after day after day after day? But then when it kicks in, it's like you've won the lottery, because you've given that gift to that person that is giving them a higher quality of life or independence. And that's just one example. So I think love, and also there's a lot of funny stuff that happens, you got to admit. Yes. So keeping the humor about that. From my professional training as a teacher and administrator, all those other things, is always know you are your child's strongest advocate. You have, if please make sure every state has protections. You have parent rights or student rights. There are federal laws in place that are based on, IDEA, which was established in 1974, and the ADA and Disabilities Acts. There are so many protections in place. If you're ever having issues with what's happening in an educational setting or a community setting for your child, you can go to your government website and find advocacy. You can find resources. So that's my dual answer, because I think both are vital.
So you have to come back and talk about all of that, because you have a huge amount of knowledge in that basis. So yeah.
Well, that's my other side of the brain is the geeky side. Like, I love the law. I love special ed law. And I think it's often overlooked or misguided.
Oh, and I have no idea. And I'm a mom right? I mean,
Right.
in the heat of it, I mean, in the thick
Right.
of it. So I would love to bring you on. I think part of this podcast is to talk about the woo-woo stuff, but then also to
Right.
talk about how do you advocate for your child for an IEP and how do you go ahead.
Right. And don't you feel that that's the key, though, to blending it is these are both for all of us, for us, for our kids, for all these, we're all talking about this is once you can blend those two rivers together and you bring that intuitive and that empathic side in with the intellect, there's a wholeness to it, a balance.
Yeah. It's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to advocate for Teal when I feel like I'm connected to her.
Yes.
It's easier to communicate. Like I just met with an augmented speech person yesterday for Teal, and it's easier for me to be that loving, kind person when I'm opening up and meditating and being kind and then listening and watching and being present with that person. It's easier. So all of this transcends. I think that's what you're saying. The rivers coming together. It's not this or that. Right. It's yes, let's empower. But in order to empower, you can also go down the woo-woo side to be a huge advocate for your child.
That's right.
Yeah. You're super
I love
smart.
That. So are you.
You're smart. You're real smart. We like to say smart in our house. You're real smart, Denise.
Well, here
compliment.
You have to say smart. You're really smart too.
Exactly. Thanks. Smart and smart. We'll be good together. We're brilliant. Oh my God. Oh, hilarious. Well, I adored this time with you. I would like to ask you to come back for every week for the next year. So welcome to our new host for our special kids. Surprise!
I would love to be however I can support you with this, because this is one of, and I am still, even though I'm not professionally in that field anymore, it is incredibly important. It's so important. And people, you need to know you're not alone and that there are people out there that understand. And that was one of my things is, and this is just kind of a key for anyone that does have a school-age child, find the person in the room that understands, that's going to see your child for who they really are and connect with them. Because a lot of people are going to play, they're in their mode, they're doing their, whatever their therapy or their job or their teaching or their administration, but there's always going to be someone in that room that you're going to know that's my person that sees my baby for who they really are.
And that's your intuition.
Yes. Bingo.
That's sitting and saying, okay, who am I getting the best vibe from in this room? Period. Right. That's using your intuition.
Yep.
What a great way to tie a bow on that, Denise. That was brilliant.
Yeah. We have a lot of damn bows.
You do. I mean, yes, you should see my hair right now. I am covered in bows. Okay. So I will ask all of our listeners, if you have questions for Denise, please send them. If you've got an episode that you think we should talk about, if you're more interested in mediumship or how to connect with your child, with your baby, like you said, I love that, my baby. Please let me know. I think it's incredibly valuable that you tell me what we can talk about. And Denise is a wealth of knowledge. So a quick reminder, they can find you on Enlightened Empaths, the podcast that I just love. I'm like addicted. There are so many people that I know that are addicted. So be careful if you start listening to it. It'll blow your mind. And then you're at the or www.thegratefulmessenger.com. You have courses, you offer all sorts of things, but you also do mediumship readings, psychic readings. I did a past life regression with you, which was amazing. Actually, that would be a whole nother episode talking about how you could use that and then how you could possibly work that into your child. Like maybe you see your child and they're your father. Okay. Going off on a tangent, but holy crow. Okay. So good. You're coming back to talk about that too, maybe, please.
Okay.
All right. And you're at Denise at thegratefulmessenger.com. So thegratefulmessenger.com. You're amazing. Yes. Thank you so much. I love it that you joined us.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found one or two meaningful nuggets of information to make your day better. If you think there's value in what we do, please take a moment to tell another friend, family member, or caregiver. We'd love to hear from you at forourspecialkids@gmail.com. You can send in a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like to learn more about, or if you'd like us to highlight a certain person, please send that information to us. It makes our show so much better and so much more valuable for you. Our Facebook and Instagram handle is For Our Special Kids. And finally, remember to witness the wonder and the wisdom within yourself and others. Until next time.